Warm greetings, everyone. What do these images make you feel? A deprived, undernourished child. The second one, slum dwellings with no basic amenities. This slide depicts a slum colony with thousands of houses with no facilities, like Simapuri in Delhi and Dharavi in Mumbai. The poet describes a primary school in a slum. Let's begin. An elementary school classroom in a slum by Stephen Spender. This poem does not have any regular rhyme scheme, but it is written in simple, clear style dominated by the use of similes, metaphors, and imagery. The theme of the poem: first, empathy for the downtrodden poor children. Second, need for equal opportunities, freedom, and liberty. Third, the poem urges powerful people to take substantial steps for the welfare of slum children. Let's begin the poem with the first stanza. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn around their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At the back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in the tree room other than this. Now the explanation. The poet describes the miserable condition of the children in the classroom. The faces of the children are unlike the usual children of schools. Instead of being bright and energetic, they are like rootless weeds, withered and worn out. They are unclear, untidy, malnourished, sick and hungry. Just as weeds are not wanted in a garden, so are these children of the slums unwanted in the society. They have pale faces. Their hair is uncombed. A tall, slim girl has her head bowed down as though she is exhausted physically because of undernourishment, and she is emotionally hurt because of poverty. The other students of the class are also in the same situation. There is a boy who is as thin as paper, skinny, bony, undernourished, representing abject poverty. He has his eyes like that of a rat, searching for food and better life. Another child in this class is also one of the victims of genetic disorder, has gnarled bones and stunted growth. He has inherited this disease from his father and recites lesson in a mellow and a weak voice. In the corner of this ill-equipped class is a sweet, unnoticed young child lost in a dream world. The dull, monotonous classroom does not interest him, and hence his mind deviates towards the squirrel in the tree room and the tree. He too dreams of fun and frolic in an open space. Now we move on to poetic devices. The poetic devices used: first, far, far, it's a repetition. Far, far from gusty waves. If you see F, F and F, this is also an example of alliteration. Then gusty waves, rootless weeds, paper seeming boy. These all are the example of imagery. You can see it like rootless weeds. It's again a simile. Rat's eyes. The paper seeming boy, they are the good example of metaphor. Father's gnarled disease is again a metaphor, and the tree room is a metaphor. Twisted bones, etc. are the examples of imagery. Now we have some practice questions for you to practice. On sour cream walls, donations. Shakespeare's had, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities, belled, flowery, Tyrolese valley, open-handed map, awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, were all their futures painted with the fog. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, caves, and stars of words. In this stanza, the poet describes the infrastructure of the school. The classrooms are ill managed and the walls are painted in a lifeless cream color, making the world of these children even more dull and depressing. On the walls are displayed the name of people who donated money to the school. In one corner of the room is placed a portrait of Shakespeare with his bust against the background of a clear sky. The images cloudless dawn and civilized dome strongly highlight the monotonous and dull life in an urban slum. The elementary school in a slum is squeezed and suppressed under these so-called civilized high domes. These concrete structures obstruct the view of the children, making them unaware of the beauty of the sky at the dawn. It is ironically that the scenic pictures of Tyrolese Valley with its beautiful churches and flowers do not have any impact in the young minds. It is ironical that the students in this classroom will neither get a chance to benefit from the wisdom of Shakespeare nor will ever get an opportunity to admire the scenic pleasure offered by the flowery valley. Besides all these things, a map of the world is also hung on the wall. This open-handed map offers bounty only to those who have already things in abundance. The map of the world symbolizes hopes and aspirations, which motivates people to explore the world. But for these children, it is restricted only to their filthy world. To these children, the true world is not the one depicted in the map. Their world is dark and their future is bleak with no hope for improvement. Let's discuss the poetic devices. First, you can see the irony. The walls are decorated with things which are in sharp contrast with the real lives, be it the Shakespeare's portrait or the beautiful Tyrolese Valley, or you can see the map. All these are a strong contrast, so it's an irony. The symbolism is also clearly mentioned and it's visible. The metaphor, the future painted with the fog, a lead sky, a star or word, it refers to the opportunities that are provided to these children if good education is given to them. Now let's move on to practice questions. Now we come to the third stanza. Surely Shakespeare is wicked and the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. On their slag heap these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel, with mended glass like bottle bits on stones. All their time and space are foggy slum. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. For lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes from fog to endless night. The poet calls the portrait of Shakespeare wicked because it is meaningless for children going to a slum school. There is no quality education in these schools. The children here will never learn about Shakespeare's work. the map is also a bad example. Because for these children, their classroom is the whole world for them. There is no world beyond their poverty, hunger, and hopelessness. So, these maps are unreal for these children. The beautiful world with its offering like sun, ships, love, and care only tempt them to steal because they cannot have all these worldly things. Their life is a slag heap. It refers to the phrase that they live in cramped holes like hutments. There is no end to their misery. There is a perpetual state of gloom, hunger, and despair. Their body looks like garbage heaps. They are very skinny and their bones are peeping out of their skin. The state of poverty is intensified by the fact that the glasses which these children wear are cracked and look like broken pieces of a bottle. All their life is being destroyed here in the slum. The slum is like a blot as big as doom on the maps of these children because life here is worse than death. The poetic devices that are used in this stanza are first metaphor, spectacles of steel, then the imagery, bottle bits of stone, ships and suns, and the simile also has been used beautifully. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. So please take care of it. Now we move on to practice questions. And after that we move to the last concluding stanza where the poet appeals to all the readers. Unless governor, teacher, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. Break, oh break, open till they break the town and show the children green fields and make their world run azure on gold sands and let their tongues run naked into books. The white and green leaves open. History is theirs, whose language is the sun. Finally, in the last stanza, the poet reveals the truth that there can be no change for the better unless a governor, a school inspector, an educationist, or a visitor comes forward to help them. The map in their classroom is the only medium for the children to view the world outside their slums. The windows of their classroom shut them and confine them to their world of poverty and helplessness. The poet appeals to those who are in power to liberate these slum children from the horrifying life that they are leading. He uses a common example by saying that they must break the shackles, the windows which appear to have sealed the fate of these children. He even urges them that they must allow the children to bask in the educational activities of the world. Allow them to run carefree on the golden sands and enjoy a new leash for life and freedom. He earnestly desires that each and every child should be able to enjoy the fundamental right to freedom. They should have access to all kinds of books, new as well as old, and they must be given the right to learn, move freely all around nature, because nature is the best teacher for all. Spender ends the poem on a positive note as he expresses his belief that people who are ignited by the spirit of knowledge and learning are the ones who create history. It is the moral liability of everyone to break barriers between the haves and have-nots and give a meaningful education to all. For history remembers only those people who are educated and have enlightened themselves for a better world. The poetic devices used in this stanza: first, simile, like catacombs. Another example is symbolism. History theirs, whose language is the sun, and the explanations are given here. Third example is anaphora, which means the repetition of a word or a phrase at the beginning of successive clauses. For example, run azure, and another line you can see, run naked. So these are the examples of anaphora. Fourth is the imagery, gold sands. Now some practice questions in the next slide. Keep practicing. Thank you.